Hi, this is Anna Hackman from Green Sisterhood. I am here with Andrea Donsky of Natural Savvy. We do not have Karen Lee today. She is occupied. It is not going to be on the video, but I promise you she will be back next Tuesday. Today we're going to be talking about unjunking your lunchbox. And everybody's kids have gone back to school. I mean, even the East Coast kids have finally gone back to school. Phew, they're out of the house. And so now they've gone back to school, and you're saying, what the heck am I going to put in their lunchbox? Jimmy or Sally only likes Fritos, they only like, cupcakes. What am I doing? So this is like apropos time. Andrea came out with a great ebook, and we're going to talk about what's good and what's not good in your lunchbox. So Andrea, I'm actually the book today. So I have Andrea's ebook. I have Andrea's ebook up. We will later have in the show, probably in the show notes, the link. It's on a microsite, the actual ebook, and I have to tell you, Andrea, it is one of the most beautiful ebooks I've ever seen. It is.
Oh, thanks, Anna. That's awesome.
It's so gorgeous. That's like kept going like, oh, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful.
Thank you.
So we're gonna walk. Andrew's gonna walk us through. Now, this is not a small ebook. This is about, Andrea, how big is this ebook?
It's about 27 pages, I think, almost 30 pages.
But it's a great read. It's very easy. It's very chunkable, so you could really get the information. It's not like, tons of words. It's just,
No.
Andrea, I have to, again, I'm sorry. It's a great ebook. So let's get right down into the most important part that I liked was the Scary Seven. And what is the Scary Seven, Andrea?
Yeah, so the Scary Seven, so this is our second ebook, but it's our third book. And our first book, when we wrote, it was called UnJunk Your Junk Food. And when we wrote our book, we came up with a list of the 7 worst ingredients that we found cause harm to the human body. And all of it was based on research. So it was based on journals, medical journals that we found that showed the connection between the harm to either humans or animals. So the 7 ingredients that we tell people to avoid, which we called the Scary Seven, are high fructose corn syrup. If any of your viewers are in Canada, it's called glucose fructose in Canada.
Andrea, I'm just going to interrupt you a second.
Yes.
Take your mic and move it a little bit lower than your mouth because we're getting all your P's and T's.
Okay, sure. How about that? Is that better?
That's better. Sorry about that, everybody. I was hearing him so loud, so that's why I had to Andrea stop. Okay, Andrea, go ahead. You were talking about high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah, so high fructose corn syrup or glucose fructose in Canada. The second one would be trans fats. So anything that you see labeled on a package as shortening, partially hydrogenated oils, because oftentimes companies mislabel their packages, mono and diglycerides, and datum. Those are all under trans fats. The third one would be artificial flavors, and you would normally see it on the package as artificial flavors. The next one would be monosodium glutamate, or MSG. Artificial colors would be number 5, and you'll see them listed as red dye number 40, red dye number 3, blue dye number 1, and the list goes on. Artificial sweeteners like aspartame or sucralose, which is Splenda, acsulfame potassium, which is ACE-K, and then preservatives. So certain preservatives like TBHQ or any of the polysorbates, BHT, which you'll find often in cereal, and a few more as well.
And you lower the mic just a little bit more.
Okay. Better?
I think so. Let's go back. Some of these are hard things for people to understand, and although the book really spells it out, give us some examples for each one of the things where you're going to find, what most of our kids have in their lunchbox. Let's go through the Scary Seven and give me an idea, like high fructose corn syrup. Where am I going to find that?
Okay, so these are great questions. So unfortunately, high fructose corn syrup is found in thousands of products. So they could be in, pickles. Like the other day I was at the grocery store, and I love half sour pickles, and I was looking for a specific brand, but I was just curious. I picked up the jar, high fructose corn syrup in it. I mean, it's in cookies. It's very popular in juice. It's in ketchup. I mean, and the list goes on. It's in bread. So it could really be in anything that they add sugar to.
So why should I care?
Okay, and that's a great question. The reason why we care that high fructose corn syrup that we want to avoid high fructose corn syrup is because it's very different than other sugars. It's the most processed type of sugar, but also it has a very high amount of fructose in it. So there's different types of high fructose corn syrup. And the high fructose corn syrup itself is metabolized differently in our bodies than, let's say, organic cane sugar, that's unprocessed. And what it does is it goes right to our liver, where it gets redistributed through our bodies, which can lead to high triglyceride levels and eventually heart disease. And some other issues that it could lead to is obesity, insulin resistance, which is the step before type 2 diabetes, and increased belly fat. So we really, really, really want to avoid this type of sugar.
So those commercials where, you have the kid and the mom and they're talking about corn and how natural it is, just a bunch of baloney.
Well, I mean, if you're buying corn on the cob that's organic, it's non-GMO. I mean, you're talking about a real food. I mean, high fructose corn syrup is processed, it's mostly GMO, and it's just not healthy for us. So why put something into our bodies that we know cause harm to it? I mean, and that's always what I go back to.
It's funny because people don't even realize that high fructose corn syrup is even in spaghetti sauce. Like it's in everywhere. It's like it's like you see those words and you just like run for the hills.
Yeah, so, salad dressings. I mean, it's really in anything that you're going to use to sweeten, and sugar's in everything. So it could be in any product that you pick up off the shelf.
Okay, number 2, trans fats.
Right. So trans fats. So anything that has, like we said, shortening, partially hydrogenated oils. I mean, even something like datum or mono and diglycerides. Those two in itself, when we wrote this book, we updated our Scary 7 list just recently when Label Lessons, UnJunk Your Kids' Lunchbox came out, because we found that these 2 ingredients are also trans fats. But the issue with them is that, according to the FDA, they don't have to include them as trans fats on the nutrition facts panel.
Why?
And it's because it has to do with their triglycerides, and it's a whole, scientific reason. But whatever the reason is that they don't have to. And we're actually, when we look at that nutrition facts panel, we look to see whether it has any trans fats. And most of the time, you'll see, oh, I'm going to buy it because it says 0. And chances are you're still getting those trans fats because of the datum and mono and diglycerides, but also because in the US there's a loophole that they allows companies to write 0 trans fats on the nutrition facts panel if it has less than 0.5 grams of trans fats per serving.
So that means like you could be eating a lot of it, not realizing it because it's cumulative.
Exactly. So you can have a box of granola bars. 1 granola bar is 1 serving, or even 2 servings, and it has, let's say, 0.4 grams. Well, multiply that by the 6 or 7 bars or 8 bars in the box, and now you've just accumulated your trans fats. So.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Are these those names that you mentioned? Are those the names that they use on labels, or do they have fictitious names as well?
No. So those are the names. So shortening, you'll see it as shortening, partially, like you'll see often on peanut butter. Like if you're buying, let's say, a really processed peanut butter, you'll see it says partially hydrogenated oils, or it might say hydrogenated soybean and cottonseed oil. Now, hydrogenated, if something is non-hydrogenated, it's very different than if you see the word hydrogenated. So hydrogenated, if you see that on a label, take it as a trans fat.
Okay, artificial flavors.
So artificial flavors, let's go back, sorry, for a second, Anna. The reason why trans fats are dangerous and why we want to avoid them is because research shows, all experts agree, there is no debate on this, is that they can lead to heart disease, cancer, and diabetes. So there's no safe limit on trans fats.
And actually the diabetes level is skyrocketed in years.
It really has. I mean, so many chronic diseases. And the thing and the sad and scary part is that people are eating these foods or giving it to their kids. We don't know, because the issue is, Anna, and I try to, my thing is always, I'm trying to educate people on reading labels. So I tell people there's a new way to read labels. The old way is looking at the nutrition facts panel, and it's looking for the fat and the calories and the sodium and the sugar. The new way of looking at labels is reading the ingredients first. Because if it has any of the Scary 7, we say, don't buy it anyways. And who cares how many calories or fat it has? You shouldn't be eating it, right?
Mm-hmm. Isn't that funny? It's like it's reverse reading. Go down to the bottom.
Exactly.
Bottom to top.
That's it. And that's what we do at Naturally Savvy, is we really try to educate people, is start by the ingredients, and when we wrote UnJunk Your Junk Food, I mean, at the time we were like one of the first people to talk about ingredients on a label, and so it's so interesting, and now it's definitely becoming more common. But we really try to point out with all of the books that we write, we highlight the ingredients, whether it's in red, which denotes a Scary 7, whether it's in yellow, which talks about an also beware of, or whether it's in blue, which talks about it being a potential GMO. So it's really laid out for you in simple terms.
Right. Now let's go to the next one, artificial flavors.
So artificial flavors, you'll see that on a label as artificial flavors. It might say artificial vanilla flavor, it might say artificial strawberry flavor, or whatever flavor that they're trying to mimic. But you can, and you'll also see it sometimes on the front of the package of, let's say, granola bars. It'll say naturally and artificially flavored. So there is no hidden terms for it on the label. And the reason why we want to stay away from artificial flavors is because they really are they're man-made chemicals. So a lot of them are petrochemicals, which can be carcinogenic. So stay away from them. They're made from they're made in a lab by a flavorist, and we say stay away. And they can lead to allergic and behavioral problems. So they do have potential side effects as well from a physical standpoint.
Monosodium glutamate.
So MSG, this is a really interesting one because you will see it on a label. Oftentimes, if you look at a bag of Cheetos, you will see it written as monosodium glutamate. However, monosodium glutamate has, I don't know, probably 40 different names that are not necessarily MSG, the white powder that the companies use, but they can use different forms of it, which are still a form of glutamic acid that some people may or may not react to. So things like yeast extract or autolyzed yeast extract, these are things that still can contain the glutamate, and you may or may not react to it, but it's just something to be aware of. On our website, we have a great article and a chart that you can print out and put in your purse that take with you that lists all the different names.
And you'll give me that link after the show, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Question for you about MSG, because MSG started off as it had a name for it. I wish Karen was on, because Karen and I had this big discussion about it, how in Asia they used to use MSG as a flavoring. It came out of there. And she was saying, what did we do differently over here in the United States to make MSG so different than how they're using it in Asia? Or is it all the same thing?
That's a good question. I just started, great question that you're asking me, I just started looking at foods that come from different countries, especially Asian countries. But to my knowledge, it's not different, but she might know something that I don't, because I study more North American MSG. But when I went recently to an Asian grocery store, and I found a package of MSG, which was the white powder, so I'm not sure if it's different or not.
Next thing, artificial colors.
Yeah, so as a mom, I'm a mom, 3 kids, and artificial colors is probably my biggest nemesis. It's found in everything that kids love. So cotton candy, slushies at birthday parties, lollipops, popsicles, freezies. I mean, the list goes on, and it's one of those things that are really hard to take out of our kids' diets. And we have to be very careful when it comes to it, because it can lead to hyperactivity, behavior issues with our kids, and those kids who have ADD or ADHD can actually worsen symptoms of the behavior issues. So it's a pretty, and research shows that, it is a pretty scary ingredient, and we recommend that people avoid it if they can, whenever possible.
Artificial sweeteners.
So artificial sweeteners, aspartame, sucralose, ACE-K, which is acesulfame potassium, neotame, saccharin. I mean, these are all sweeteners that they use mostly a lot in beverages, but any diet product, people want to save on the calories, right? So these sweeteners replace the calories in products, and people think that they're getting less calories, but new research is showing that it's actually not even saving people calories, because in the end, they're going to get those calories elsewhere throughout the day.
And why is that?
It's because the artificial sweeteners, it tricks our brain into thinking, when we eat something that's sweet, our brain, the way it affects our insulin levels, and our blood sugar levels, there's real chemical reactions that are going on in the body. When you ingest an artificial sweetener, it's tricking it. It's not really doing what it's supposed to do. So what's going to happen is it's kind of giving you that false sense of sweetness, but in the end, you're still going to want to reach for it elsewhere, because it's not really doing what sugar, let's say, does in your body. So it's showing that people they're still getting they're still reaching for those sugary foods that they're craving, but at later times in the day.
It's funny, because I find that products with artificial sweeteners are actually sweeter than sugar.
Oh, they're not normal sweet. Like, for example, you have things that are 13,000 times sweeter than sugar. Like, it's completely crazy. And the scary thing is that it's training our taste buds into thinking that that's the norm. So when you go back to regular sugar, you're like, ew, it's not even sweet,
Right,
right?
right,
So
right.
your body, it kind of retrains your taste buds into looking for a sweetness that doesn't even exist in nature, and that's the scary part.
And how do you feel about all the processed stevias that are out there now? The ones that are white? Because stevia is actually a green plant.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to find process, especially once the bigger companies come on board. I do like stevia. I mean, there's liquid stevia. I mean, I do like stevia better. I haven't studied it in terms of, the chemical composition, if they're bleaching it. I'm guessing they're bleaching it if it's white. So I'd say it's probably not a good idea. But there are so many great alternatives out there, like erythritol or xylitol, that are made, xylitol is made from birch trees. And they're, if you want to look for one that's non-GMO, Now Foods makes one that's non-GMO, and it's great because they have very few calories and they don't affect our blood sugar, which is at the end of the day what we're trying to control. We really, all the research now is showing that the key to overall health is keeping our blood sugar steady.
Next one is preservatives.
Right, so the preservatives that we outline, that we tell people to stay away from, are TBHQ. You'll find that in Reese's peanut butter cups. It can lead to tinnitus, nausea, vomiting. Polysorbates, like 60, 65, and 80. You find those a lot in ice cream and frozen products, and it's been shown to lead to infertility, or it can suppress our immune systems, and it can even cause anaphylactic allergies in a lot of people. So,
oh, wow.
yeah, some people who are allergic, it's not good. BHA or BHT. So BHA is, now research is showing that it is a carcinogen, a possible carcinogen. BHT can lead to liver and kidney problems. So you find that a lot in cereals. They preserve cereals with BHT. So again, look for cereals that don't have these chemicals. The organic cereals, the natural cereals, they won't have these preservatives.
Okay, and now we have a yellow list, which is ingredients that you said to use with caution. And why is that? Why aren't they on the scary 7? Why did they get to go a level down?
Well, it's interesting because we're always updating, but the reason why we put it a level down was because it could be a couple reasons. One is that we couldn't find it in the research that absolutely proved that they were harmful to the human body or to animals. And so, for example, like something like annatto, there are a lot of people who are allergic to annatto. However, if you're not allergic to annatto is fine for someone. Like someone like myself, I don't have an allergic reaction to annatto, so it's fine for me. However,
where do you find it?
So annatto it's a natural color used. It's like a yellow color. It can be in a lot of natural products. Okay. It's an alternative to food coloring. So, caramel color, another one. Now there's 4 types or 5 types of caramel color. We know that number 2 and number 4 are the harmful ones. But a company might use 1, 3, or 5. So it's hard because they don't have to disclose it on the label, we said, it might be okay, we're not sure 100%, but just beware. Ask the company if you really want to know, like Coke and Pepsi. They agreed that they're going to reformulate their cans of Coke and Cola over time because it contains the toxic type of caramel color. So the FDA said, well, if you're not going to reformulate, then you need to put a cancer label on the actual product. So they said they're going to reformulate. So caramel color would fall under that.
Whoa, the FDA actually did something?
Yeah, they said if you don't reformulate, you need to put a cancer warning label on the actual product.
Wow.
Yeah.
If they come out and say you got to do it, then it's pretty bad.
Well, the scary thing is, Anna, is that this came out over a year. It's over a year and a half already, and nothing's been done. So over time, not sure what that means. So, yeah.
What's new? Okay, yeah. Go ahead. Okay, keep going down the list.
So some other ones, for example, carrageenan, that's more recent that, we now know it can lead to, gastrointestinal issues. Also, perhaps some people are saying colon cancer or issues with the digestive issue. So again, that's a newer one that's coming out. I know that there are certain organizations, the Cornucopia Institute for one, is trying to get that removed from organic products. So, we're keeping them for now on the yellow list.
One thing I wanted to mention is that a lot of people don't realize that's in a lot of vegan yogurt, which is, coconut yogurt and almond yogurt. You'll see it as one of the last ones.
Yeah, carrageenan is in a lot of
yes.
A lot of different products in the natural. Yes, for sure. But again, I've spoken to a lot of companies about it, and until they have the hard facts, I think that they're going to leave it in until it's I guess proven through research. So. I guess to their comfort levels, I guess is more what it comes down to. And then there's other ones like like calcium propionate, which is now, we just did a big expose on bread in our on our website recently. And from this, we were looking at Rudy's bread versus Oro wheat and some other breads, and a lot of breads contain some pretty nasty ingredients. So eventually a lot of these will make it over, I'm guessing, to the Scary 7 list, but for now they're on our also beware of until more research comes out.
I'm reading off the through the Hangout, which is kind of hard. Is that oh God, I hate when I can't say. It's gas. I mean, plastic. You see it on.
With propylene glycol? Is that what you're talking about?
That's in our food.
Oh, yes, yes, it is. It is in some food. So again, it's interesting. I was doing an interview earlier today, and I was talking to someone who is really very knowledgeable about personal care items, and they were saying that there's so much crossover with what's in our food, these chemical additives that are in our food that are also in our personal care items. So these are chemical additives. They're used to preserve, to prevent mold, to stop, humidity, whatever it is, and they go, yes, from our food to personal care items, and to a lot of these things we're putting in and onto our bodies.
That's amazing. Now I'm going to try to pull the impossible. Hold on one second. I'm going to flip to your next page, so give me a second.
So I just want to address one thing too while you're flipping. The reason why GMOs are on our also beware of, to me, it's actually, it's not a Scary 7 list. It's the number, for us, it's like, just avoid GMOs entirely. You should never be ingesting GMOs. The reason why it's on the also beware of list is because of the non-mandatory labeling. So that's why we're leaving it there for now. Until it becomes mandatory labeling, then that'll be at the top of the list. But because most people don't know how to find it on a label, it was hard for us to put it on that Scary 7 list. So I just want to be clear that we're very anti-GMOs, and so people should be, to avoid it as much as possible.
Now, Andrea, I'm sitting here looking at your book, and I'm on page 1011, which is what you just talked about Oro wheat versus Rudy. Where do you want me to go? I know there's a blue. Where's the blue section? The next section.
So I can explain to how we did it. So if you're looking at the different products. This happens to be Barbara's Snackimals, which is an organic cereal, and we compared it to Kellogg's Pops. And if you look at underneath the nutrition facts panel, you see how the ingredients, there's some of them are in blue, some of them are in red, and some of them are in yellow?
Right.
That's how people could tell. So that's what people want to be looking for when they're shopping. So they want to look at the ingredients first, and we make it very easy for people. So here's, for example, we analyze the ingredients of Kellogg's Pops and Corn Pops. And you could see, for example, the milled corn, the sugar, the soluble corn fiber, those are all, we're pretty sure they're GMOs, but because we haven't put it in a lab and dissect, and we don't know 100% for sure, we have to say possible or potential GMO. But hydrogenated coconut and soybean oil and BHT, those are two Scary 7s that are in red, and then annatto that's in yellow. So we give people an easy map, which is what we were just looking at in terms of how to understand and read the book.
But where was the blue part? I think we did the two colors.
Oh, that was back on the Scary 7 list. It was the GMOs. The GMOs were in blue.
Oh, it was the blue. Okay, sorry.
Right at the bottom right there.
Okay, let me go back. Let's keep going through the book. So you go through a lot of different things. Like I'm looking at the fruit drinks right now, and you compare Welch's to Uncle Mac.
Yeah.
And then you do a lot of comparing to show people of, what to look for. So they got to get used to it and little tips along the way. Why did you do this book?
Well, we wanted to do a back-to-school book. We thought it would be a great way, because a lot of parents are just, it's hard to give our food, or to know what to feed our kids, especially kids are so picky. I know for myself, it's like a handful of things they'll allow, plus we've got the peanut issue in the school. So it's more just to teach parents or caregivers what to look for when they're shopping for these products for their little ones. So to avoid, common foods like applesauce, like that we're looking at right now. I mean, Mott's has high fructose corn syrup in it, or GMOs or artificial colors. Why do the kids need it? They don't, especially because there's such great alternatives. Like, for example, Go-Go Squeeze, 100% organic applesauce, right? So why choose the ones that have the bad chemicals in it when there are great alternatives that the kids will love just as much?
And if somebody's reading this and saying, Oh my God, this is so much for me to absorb. Is there someone place on your site where they can just get like almost a list? Like just go and say like almost like the EWG of food. Like you can just say, okay, that's good. I'm good. I can buy that.
That's a great question. We don't have a list of all the, well, we have like definitely have the Naturally Savvy approved products, as you can see that are on the right. I don't have a page with all the products, a list of all the products, which is a great idea, by the way, Anna. Thank you.
You heard it here on Green Sisterhood, okay?
There you go. We've toyed around. We've toyed with the concept of having our own, approved products. But what they can do is, they could read through the books. We had another book out which we spoke about in the spring that was really how to unjunk your grocery cart. They can take a look at our Unjunk Your Junk Food book, which is found on Amazon. And but at the end of the day, for me, it's not so much teaching them, yes, obviously we want them to know what the great alternatives are, but it's also teaching them how to read a label so that they're properly equipped and empowered when they're at the grocery store. So they don't need me or my books. They can make these decisions for themselves because now I've equipped them with the tools they need to make the right decisions just by reading the labels.
You need to do a book called "Unjunk Your Teen's Lunchbox" and acceptable, food that they will actually eat and not snarl at you for saying it's organic. I have one of those picky eaters, and he's like, "I'm not buying organic. It tastes terrible," and because they're so used to
the
chemicals, and that's the problem. Is if you can get kids younger and start getting them used to what things are really supposed to taste like. It's going to make a big difference. So tell us, where this is. We're going to put the link below of where people can buy this. They can download it, Andrea? Is that what they can do? So
if you go to naturallysavvy.com, that's 2 L's and 2 V's.com, on the right side you'll see there'll be an ad, whether it says win a $1,000 shopping spree or whether it says download our free ebook. It's right at the top on the right. They can click on that. It'll take them to a site where they could even access coupons for all the products in the book, in the ebook. And then they could share it. They can download the book itself from that page as well on our site. So it's very accessible. If not, they can also send you or send me an email, and I'm happy to direct them there.
And I noticed at the front, and you have a partnership with Healthy Child. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, I'm a mom ambassador for Healthy Child, Healthy World, and I just love the organization. And what we did is we teamed up with them, and for every time someone shares the ebook, so when they go to our website or the microsite and they get the coupons, and at the end they have the opportunity to share it on Facebook or Twitter or on social media. We're going to donate $1 to Healthy Child, Healthy World, up to $10,000. They can also go to our Facebook page. Today we just posted a chart of the Scary 7, and we're also going to count those shares towards dollar towards for Healthy Child, Healthy World, so they can share it from our Facebook page as well.
And when you talk about this to moms, what's their reactions?
They love it. They think it's great. I mean, most moms that I know of, including myself, we just want to know what to do. We want to know that things are easy. We want to know how to make the best decisions possible for our kids, but also be realistic. Because our kids are going to eat junk. They're going to come across, birthday parties, play dates. They're out and about and at school. They're going to get exposed to these chemicals, and they're going to eat it. So at the end of the day, what I'm trying to do, and our team, what we're trying to do here at naturallysavvy.com, is to just give people the right information in an unoverwhelming way, because there's so much overwhelming information, laid out in a beautifully designed ebook, like you said, that kind of shows people in just graphically, easy to understand, and just tidbits of information. So at the end of the day, when you're doing your shopping, or that you can remove that one chemical from your kids' diet that they're eating a lot of, that's at the end of the day what I'm trying to do, is just to make it easier and healthier for people to make decisions that impact themselves and their kids.
But the beauty of this is by teaching not only what to feed your kid, you're teaching yourself what to eat as well. So this is not just a child's lunchbox. It's unjunk your refrigerator. Because
unjunk your life.
Right. It's like there's a lot of things people take for granted that are okay and think that they're fine because they're on grocery store aisles, and they're not. I mean, look at Mott's. Come on, corn syrup and applesauce. Come on.
Someone said to me the other day, they're like, well, wait a second. If it's on the shelf, the government says it's okay, isn't it?
Yes.
And I started to laugh. I'm like, unfortunately, it's like anything. You have to be your own inspector, your own, I call them, I say we're inspector labels. We have to be our own inspector label because, and it's like a superhero, right, with a hat and a cape. We have to be our own inspector label because if we're not, nobody's watching out for us and our family. We have to watch out for ourselves and make proper decisions for ourselves. So no, just because it's on the shelf does not mean it's healthy, and it does not mean it was approved by Health Canada or the FDA. It just means that companies are allowed to market and use ingredients that are not necessarily healthy for everybody, right?
And one thing too that I wanted to bring home with what you're doing is if you start kids young on how to eat properly and what it's supposed to taste like, this will carry through their lifetime, because a lot of illnesses start in childhood all the way up when you become an adult. And all of a sudden you're in your 40s and your 50s and you have diabetes. So,
Yeah.
there's a lot of, how many people do you know that have something, thyroid, diabetes, they have eczema, this, that, and, it all starts from what you put in your body. So I think this is a great primer for anybody of any age. So I hope everybody downloads this book because it really is quite simple to understand. You did, like, I don't want a brown nose, but you did a great job making it chunkable, that you really get the, the gist of this. Again, Andrea, give us the website where people can go to get this book.
Sure, it's at naturallysavvy.com. And at the top, you'll see in the navigation bar at the top, there's a link that says book. You can access it from there, or you can even access it. There's an ad on the site as well. They can access it from the ad.
And you mentioned about downloading small, what are those called, like menus or something that you can take with you to the store. Where do they get that? Like, those simple.
Yeah, so they can get that from our Facebook page. We have a lot of images on our Facebook page where they can download the scary ingredient chart. They can download it from our website if they search 7 ingredients to avoid. We talk about it a lot on our website as well. So if they even look up the Scary 7, they'll find it there. It's also in our book, UnJunk Your Junk Food. It's at the page 25 and 26 in UnJunk Your Junk Food. So anywhere that they like us, follow us, tweet us, it's there. They'll find it.
Andrea, thank you so much, and thank you for what you're doing, because it's really going to have such a positive effect on people's lives, and that's what it's all about. So thank you so much for writing this book, and I'm sure in 6 months you're going to be back on Green Sisterhood with something else new and exciting on how to make our lives easier and healthier. And it was always a pleasure having you on, Andrea.
Thanks for having me, Anna.